Okay. So it is 7 o'clock on the dot. This is the September meeting of the Bristol Planning Commission. I'll call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Is there any public comment? Seeing no public, I would assume we have no public comment. Oh, wait a minute, backing up. Reviewing the agenda for addition and removal adjustments. Anybody have, I do not have anything. Does anybody have any?
I would just like to correct my typo on the items. I lost my track. It's a minor thing, but
Five, so 5 is 6 and 6 is 7 and.
yeah, it's
So we're like a clock, right?
yeah. I'm just one box.
It's like the clock. Okay, anything else? Okay, we'll make that implicit approval. We did public comment. We can jump down to new business. There's an action. He's been working on a municipal planning grant. So if you'd like to describe that a little bit.
Howdy, Fred.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Frida and I are working on putting together an application for the fiscal year 26 municipal planning grant. I had wanted to apply for this grant last year to do public outreach, but with the town plan expiring in 2028, the select board and Frida both advised to wait on applying for the municipal planning grant until this opportunity now. The municipal planning grant's main funding is for town plan updates, zoning regulations. I know, so fun, Slim. Yeah. But the application requires the planning commission's recommendation to apply. The grant would be a 2-year grant beginning in March of 26, taking us all the way through to 2028. It would provide funding to assist in updating the town plan, whether that be funding the public outreach, hiring a external consultant to come in and assist, to do research and development on possibilities for the town plan. There's a town match that would be around $3,000. That's more for the select board to decide, but I am really excited about this grant. I think it's a great opportunity. The timing works up perfectly that it would be right when the town plan's expiring, so the stars are quite literally aligning on timing. And what I need from the planning commission is really just your approval and recommendation that we go for this grant. And then as we develop the grant a little bit further, my main focus for the grant is town plan update. And to go for the max amount of money that they will give us and to spend it on public outreach, hiring someone out to help with going through the town plan, really trying to get as much resources as we can so that updating the town plan is as painless as the process as it can be. And yeah, gets us through to the 2028.
So it is an action item, so I'll entertain a motion and then we'll have further discussion.
Motion to endorse going after this planning grant.
Okay,
I'll second it.
so Rob moves it, Ellen seconds it. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
For Maisie.
Mm-hmm.
You have a feeling as to the general knowledge about the town plan, how many people care, and are there issues that you've encountered in your own work or other people have, or is there a reasonable general satisfaction with the way the plan is currently?
I think my answer to that question is I don't think enough people read the town plan.
And.
And I think that's an issue in the
And
first
that'll
place.
be the case,
Yeah.
in 2033.
Yeah, but I think one of the issues is people don't read it. And why do people not read it? It's a pretty heavy text. Unless you're a planning nerd like me or really into municipal government, most folks aren't going to pick up the town plan. So how do we make the town plan more inviting for people to pick up and read? Could be something that we work on in this update. It's also an opportunity to take a look at to where we want Bristol to be for the next 8 years. And I think personally, in my experience in the position, not many folks really understand what the town plan is for. And I think this is a really great opportunity to get the public involved with the town plan and in planning itself. And this grant would provide opportunities to really do that to the maximum.
So how much was that? Did I miss how much the grant? Is for, was it 30K?
At least, yes, 30K with the town map, 10% town match, which is just over 30.
We're going to become an institution to give them the power and the confidence to stand up and let their voice be heard. I started this organization.
Well, hello?
I'm gonna mute you, Bill, unless you were trying to show us your TV.
So I think the other thing, a little history is. The last time the town plan, and you probably know better than I do. The last time the town plan was updated, we were late on it. And it's a pretty heavy lift and there's a lot of data that goes into it, so. There is a need for some consulting services. The last plan we did, we used regional planning. For that, because they provide a lot of the data anyway.
That's what I was gonna say, is that every, when we did it in the 2017 era, it was, there's always new regulations that need to be incorporated in. State law stuff. Last time, the big one was the enhanced energy plan that needed to be incorporated for all those targets, right? And
Housing's probably the big one.
housing's probably gonna be a big one this time.
Yeah, they just put it in your house.
And I know that one of the things we came up against last time that Kevin was just talking to is that some of the data and figures that are in there still are. Probably they're even further out of date now than they were with some of the projections and everything. We just don't have the ability to cultivate that data on our own,
I'm not challenging.
No.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
How much interest there is. Whether there have been, oh geez, why does the plan say this, that type of stuff, and basically what you're saying is that there's quite a little bit of lack of interest
Yeah,
in the plan. And what most people have is a lot of interest in zoning if they're planning to.
Yeah.
Do something,
yep,
and that's quite a little different matter,
Yeah.
zoning versus the plan.
Well, it's kind of,
they're tied together.
They do.
Yeah,
they're kind of. Zoning is in a perfect world, result of your town plan. Which is, when it comes down to reality, that may not necessarily be the case, but your town plan needs to drive zoning and quite honestly, and actually the last town plan, we organized a certain. And I don't know who was on it when we started this after the town plan was affected. We took some certain bullets and gelled them into a conversation about housing, but it was all driven by the 2017
It was 17 or 18, it's right in there, yeah.
town plan that says, okay, planning commission, now that you've developed this town plan, you need to make sure your zoning regulations match up with the town plan.
And in order to change the town plan. Do we need a vote of the people?
Yeah.
Same with zoning, correct?
Yes,
We wanna change the zoning reg, so would we do them simultaneously?
No,
No, it would,
So no, I don't think so, because zoning is a whole different, we spent what, 18 months for the last revision. I think, and to back up a little bit, I think the select board has the capability now to approve zoning. During the last reissue of zoning, the select board chose to have a public vote on it.
That's
Is
right,
that?
they have an option.
That's what I
Yeah.
remember, that's the way it went.
But I think the town plan, I think you're right with the town plan, you still need a town vote on it.
It also, once we do our updates. And change whatever we want on it, it needs to go off to regional planning for review. And then comment also on the other towns in the region. As part of it, to make sure we're in compliance with the regional plan as well.
and that's
It
the,
all trickles down, right, which makes sure that's in line with the state plan, so.
and that's the Act 181 kind of is gonna play into this a little bit.
We're
With
pretty
the,
compliance with that now, aren't we?
with
Or
Act,
the housing aspect, maybe that's not acting.
that's the Home Act, that's Act 5747.
Okay, I don't mean to digress, I just wanted to get the legalese
Mhm.
and your impression. In terms of people's feelings about our town plan, and basically there aren't any.
Yeah,
It's always hard to get the public engagement.
Oh,
on
I know.
that, and that's one of the things we struggled with on the last one too, was trying to have events and to get public. Input, at least some familiarity with the topics and what was coming up and what's in there and
We wanna get,
that it
we
exists.
wanna get interest, throw a few things in there, that are out there.
Yeah.
So you said that our town plan has to be confirmed by and be in alignment with the regional plan?
Mhm.
Now, is the regional, what kind of legality is the regional board, or, I mean, they have power, like?
they just got more power.
They just got more power.
They didn't really they had power prior to Act 181, but Act 181 essentially gave them a little bit more teeth in their planning.
Yeah.
In the past, RPCs have been more of an assistant to municipalities to meet state mandates.
Yeah.
And now county levels are actually starting to get a little bit more like, let's work as a county, as a full county, using the regional planning commissions as that vehicle.
So local planning is just living further and further.
Then you're so pessimistic.
I'm just trying to be realistic here. That would be the truth, right? But that was used to be kind of a thing we appreciate. But anyway, I just wanted to check in on that.
Municipal planning is still very important. And I don't believe it's slipping away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still need you.
Yes.
I know that.
And I still need y'all, so it works out.
Okay.
We need to vote on them.
Is there any words?
Yeah, so is there any more discussion? Bill, you've been kind of quiet.
It's been silenced by you.
And even silence, no TV.
Okay, sorry about that. I think it's a reasonable proposal and I will support it.
Melissa,
Yeah, sounds good.
okay, Ellen,
Yeah, I seconded the motion. I'm good with it.
okay,
Um,
any other discussion?
if I may, even though this is, you're already approving it, but I just wanted to show what a municipality did with the funding from a planning grant. This is City of Montpelier, so it's definitely a lot bigger than little old Bristol, but they,
Not that much bigger, believe it or not.
I know,
Really?
No, they're
um,
about 10, 11 grand, we're 4.
but they moved their town plan to an online version. And what this does is it allows integration with mapping right into it. Which I think is very cool. And it breaks it out and it makes it a little bit more like they got pictures. It's broken up in bite-sized context. And then this is where I nerd out a lot. But it has integrated maps that show all the districts. that they have here, any important overlays of flood areas, all their forest blocks.
Shouldn't it all be red for Montpelier?
Yeah, the flood, probably. If they're using the old maps, then probably not. But just tonight, like showing what's possible with planning town plans to make them a little bit more engaging to the public.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, and they were working on this for a long time. But I just wanted to put that little, like, this is a possibility of what could happen. Not saying here, just saying there's possibilities out there.
Okay, any other,
Like, all town plans don't come due at once, right? So there's, Middlebury's might be 2 years later, and et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
I think Rick did think that there's,
yeah, we just got communication from
I was just curious,
some, like, I'm joining town camera.
the whole state doing it all at the same time.
Okay, all those in favor of recommending that we, move forward with the municipal planning grant recommendations?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it passes.
I'm gonna need your signature on the document.
Okay. Next we'll move to old business, our favorite topic. So we have an action to approve the interpretation of the ADU statute that we've been chewing on. Last month, I had an epistle that glazed everybody's eyes over. I think what and to back up a little bit, this is, the planning commission is charged with interpreting zoning regulations and that sort of thing. We don't make the final say, final say by the select board, but we do offer an opinion. And it's important for us to have an understanding of a working document. Now, this flow chart that AZ prepared is a tool for her or them. And I think from our point of view, we basically need to understand that it covers what our discussion has been as opposed to a page of text. So when we get around to an action, my suggestion is we approve the flow diagrams as opposed to approving a text document. And probably, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last month, and I think it clarified a lot of things. And I don't know if you've want to just go back through it, AZ, and we did make some modifications based on conversation, or AZ made some modifications based on conversations. And there was there was another sheet too that
Yeah, that
is a quick sheet to go through, but it kind of gets you centered to come down into this this sheet that has much more detail on it.
did not include that in this one because the focus on
It was in the.
It was in the package, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is your. Yeah. So this is the criteria for accessory dwelling units. First and most important criteria is having a single family dwelling. And the owner needs to either occupy said single family dwelling or the accessory dwelling unit. If you meet that criteria, great, you can move on. Next would be the state wastewater. If you're putting in a new system, or if you're let's say moving one of your bedrooms around, or you're adding bedrooms, you're gonna have to have a state permit, either a new permit or an amendment to your existing permit to show the change in flows. But that's state, so no real local authority over that, other than letting folks know that they need to talk to the state and making sure that they have permits before approving. Size, maximum of 900 square feet, or 30% of the total habitable floor space of the single family dwelling, whichever is greater. So if you meet that criteria, the dimensional standards would come into play. Setbacks vary with zoning districts, as we know. It may require a waiver or conditional use depending on where you are locating your ADU. If you're putting it into an existing or building a new. If you're building new ADUs, follow the principal structure standards, and that's from our conversation about 4412. Hopefully there's no further questions on that. And then lastly, things in the way, is the parking requirement. This is the biggest performance standard that applies, is making sure that you have one space per dwelling unit. So if you have a single family residence and an ADU, you need 2 parking spaces, which shouldn't be too hard for most folks, but that is part of the criteria, is having adequate parking. And that moves us into the permitting process. How do you get a permit? And I think it's important to distinguish in this conversation the use of an ADU and a structure of an ADU. In this flow chart, I'll start first with the structures. If you're building a new detached ADU, this is really the simplest flow. If you're building a new detached ADU and you conform to the principal setbacks, you conform to all those other criteria that were shown above, it's a by right use. I issue the permit. And I made a little diagram here showing what that could look like if someone was looking to build an ADU. This bottom line here would be the road center line. And then, so 40 feet from the road center line, the ADU could be placed in front of a single family home. If that home was 80 feet, this is just an example. And that would just be a detached ADU, a new building for the use of ADU. Moving on, if you're doing a new detached mixed use, an accessory building with an ADU, I'm still waiting to hear back from Adam on this, but a little clarification from him to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. But when you have 2 uses or a mixed use, you follow the more restrictive setback or dimensional standard. So I made another little flow chart or diagram to show that. The light gray would be the building envelope of where you could put something. The more brighter orange would be the single family dwelling that meets the setbacks of 40 feet from the center line, 15 feet from the side yard, well within the other side yard and the rear yard. And here we have the 60 foot. So that would be the essentially 20 feet behind the building front line, would be 60 feet from the road center line. And that is for accessory structures, specifically within certain districts like the high density residential. The building would need to be behind that line there, as it's an accessory building. But then it would also have to meet the 15-foot principal standards, because you can't be more restrictive than for ADUs for the principal. And this is following both the accessory and the principal, and just a diagram.
But you're mixing and matching with that case.
That's why I'm looking for Adam's clarification on which is more.
He's gonna, what he said before was it's the least restrictive no matter what, right?
Yeah. So least restricted would be the 10 foot.
I thought we inherently have a conflict with an ADU and a accessory structure use, in the sense that the ADU can be within the building envelope, if we will, of the primary structures. So like in this situation, that little block can move around in that gray area plus up to the front of the house. as where an ADU can land.
But an
And then-
accessory structure.
And then
accessory
as an
building.
accessory structure. It needs to be 60 feet or 20 feet back, but it could also be 10 feet on the back and the side, right? So one day, and then and I think where we left off last month with the question was, okay, one day you can have that accessory structure 10 feet off the line and or both lines or whatever, and all of a sudden you want to make it in putting ADU in it too. Your lot lines are in conflict now that would drive.
Yeah, so you're going up on the existing accessory building. Conforms to. Conforms
Oh, I'm
to,
sorry, so
yeah,
so we're talking about a new one.
Yeah.
So a new. Okay, never mind.
this branch here was. What I put together after our last meeting, with your question of. How do. What,
Yeah,
how do you,
because I know the professional interpretation we received was that it's the least restrictive
Mhm.
for housing, but the mixed use presumably would have some impact in that.
yeah,
But again, I think his comment was just it's whatever is the least restrictive for that, but I don't know how
yeah,
that one use overrides the other use.
that's what I'm waiting to hear back from him on the. Which use,
Well. There's the use of this in the bill in the structure. The use with the least restrictive for the use would be the 15 feet, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's not if there's a 10 foot for accessory structure.
But it's,
for
That would be
the,
least restrictive.
but fine, but then you can't put the ADU in there. Right, I mean, it's the same thing.
Well, that's what we're trying to get clarification on.
yeah,
Yeah, but it just seems, just trying to be logical here. Because the use is also important, the structure is quiet, the use is noisy and everything else that could possibly be, so. Least restrictive for a. Place that houses people is 15 feet in that example, right, or this example, whatever. Yeah. House, single family dwelling, anything like that, 15 feet, right? So, I mean, it seems like, cool, this, well, that's the rub here, so. Anyway, I don't. Did we ever consider just making the accessory building 15 feet, and I think that got turned down?
Yeah, that does sound.
Right.
um,
Yes, we had the whole discussion.
Try
Yeah.
again? No.
yeah, that's part of my recommendation is to. To recommend to the select board. Making that change, but it could possibly. Increase the amount of non-conformances within the village if we moved everything to 15, but.
But that's
This is what we have.
existing, yeah, so this is,
Yeah, but
plenty of those going around.
It's unfortunate that if you wanted to build a garage. That you would have to put that other 5 feet into your lot.
I hear that.
Or just don't put
Because
the
somebody-
ADU in that 5 feet of the structure.
That somebody
Oh.
might want to put.
I hope that's the joke, yeah.
And I think what, seems like we were talking about variances or conditional uses. To rectify that
Yeah.
discrepancy
Got it,
between.
Well, that was gonna be my question. When I looked at this earlier, it seemed to me that anybody's project, whether it's currently in compliance or not, would have the option of applying for a variance. And so my question is, how onerous is that process?
A variance is a little bit different than a waiver. A variance, the landowner cannot be creating the hardship. So a variance would be geography, like if your property was in a valley and you only had that sliver to build, but in that sliver you wouldn't be meeting setbacks, but that's the only place you can build. That's when you would get a variance. When there's more of like topographic issues that.
Okay, sure.
Back I got on.
Yeah.
So what's the waiver then?
A waiver is asking for relief from the dimensional standards. You can't be out of conformance with them, but a waiver would allow you to be have some relief. So a recent waiver in the a waiver out on Carlstrom Road. Someone wanted to build an accessory garage shed. And the district setbacks there were 80 feet from the road center line. If he was to build 80 feet from the road center line, he would be right in the middle of the flood hazard zone.
Yeah,
So
okay,
he got
that
a
makes
waiver-
sense.
Yeah, he got a waiver to be at 60. So
Or
Uh,
for pre-existing structures, right? That like you might want to, you know, renovate into an ADU,
mhm,
then you can apply for a waiver.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the existing accessory building conforms to the accessory setbacks, but if you want to convert it into a ADU, that's when you would need the waiver. If it doesn't meet the principal setbacks. A lot of this conversation gets down into structure versus use, which why I focus first on the new structures if you're building something new. The setbacks you follow there. With existing structures, it's you can have an existing house that you turn into a duplex. Did you change anything on the outside, or did you just change the inside? That would be a change of use, but you're not changing anything to the structure. At least on the outside. Our regs we don't deal with interior changes we don't have building permits for that. It's just exterior. So that's getting into that conversation. But an existing accessory building that is non-conforming.
So you're on the top bar now, right?
Yeah, because clearly
So let's back up. This new detached mixed use is still, we have questions. We're not definitive about that, right?
yeah, it's that one. I'm awaiting some further clarification on
Yeah.
how two uses mix, and the rest has stayed the same.
So I think I'm open to talking more if you want to go down through some of these others, or people have questions about the other boxes, but I don't. And all of a sudden, I don't believe we're ready to act on this because we don't know what that whole decision line's gonna be. So that's fair?
That's fair.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know if you wanna walk through, if anybody's interested in walking through again about existing. The top bar or the bottom bar addition to a single family dwelling, we can do that if you want.
I would like it. I think it's good.
Okay.
Construction, everything. That won't take too long.
Yeah. Here's another example.
So we're on the top bar now, right?
Yep, we're on the top bar.
Okay.
So here we have there's a on the far left would be you have your single family dwelling meets the bare minimums for dimensional standards, and for all these examples I use the high density residential district as the setback distances, as that's the highly contentious district. On the left you have a barn 5 feet from the side yard, meets the 10-foot in the back, but that side yard's so close. If you wanted to convert it into an ADU and you are changing the exterior, are non-conforming regulations stated as if you're moving, enlarging, altering, reconstructing, or extending a non-conforming structure or use is when you have to get conditional use approval. So someone seeking to convert that barn into an ADU would have to go through conditional use review for the for the change to the building, not necessarily the interior, but if they're putting exterior modifications to the building, if they're changing the square footage, they're putting an access stair on the outside. However, that project is changing that building is when they would need to go to the DRB, not necessarily because the use of the ADU is non-conforming, and neither is the use of the accessory building. It's the structure is non-conforming to the setbacks. So changing that structure.
So you're saying I can stay within my walls, turn it into a small house. Yeah, ADU, and that's okay, 5 feet from the line of my neighbor? Did I hear that right?
If you're,
You have to get a conditional use, I think.
yeah,
Oh, I think it's a condition, it's just if I extend the property instead of the exterior of the building some way.
yeah, that's, we don't deal with interior.
But we're changing the use on the inside,
Yeah.
and so we still let a use change go through that. I mean, that's again, sounds like a interesting. Right?
No, I'm sorry. No, you're correct. I don't have my regs in front of me, but it's exterior renovations are exempt unless you're changing the use. So it'd still be conditional use because you're changing
Okay,
use, but the uses are not, the uses are conforming. It's the structure that's not
Okay.
conforming. I just want to clarify that.
I got that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for checking these then. But yes, so the left is like pretty cut and dry. It's a non-conforming structure, the uses are conforming, if you wanna change anything about that structure, it's conditional use. The second is, you have your house, you have your garage in the back, the garage meets the 10-foot setbacks. You wanna convert the upstairs into an ADU, you'd need to get a waiver to do that, to put that in that 10-foot location. Not necessarily for the change of use, because again, they're two conforming uses that you're changing. It's more for the development of an accessory structure when you want to use an ADU, which follows the principle, and that's when you need the waiver. And then on the right is an example of you're fortunate to have a garage that's already meeting the principal setbacks. It would just be adding that ADU use to the garage. That's that top bar.
So the left one is conditional use, the center one is waiver, and the right-hand one is permitted use.
Correct. And that corresponds to the pink non-conforming, goes to conditional use, goes to ZA issues. The middle is the far right, where it's the 15-foot minimum, and then the middle would be the conforms to accessory setbacks but needs a waiver. And the conditional use approval and the waiver are not for the use, but for the structure. The structure does not meet the setbacks and therefore it needs a waiver. Not the use.
What are typical criteria for a lot of giving a waiver to somebody?
It needs to be an allowed use in the district. It needs to conform to the character of the area. So you see a waiver I did for your daughter.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
yes, but then when I'm talking with his use, I guess, I mean, this is the big difference is when you have people, I think, living in a place that's close to the boundary line.
Yeah.
So I just wonder what the general feeling on the boards are up there, you know, past us that are giving the waiver. I mean, it sounds to me like it's a rubber stamp in your example almost. And why would somebody never get that with your example that you showed us?
I think public feedback would be one if neighbors came,
So
or if it isn't in the character of the neighborhood.
Well,
So public, yeah, that does sway things. That's not the right answer, or that isn't the right way to influence things. I think the other thing with waivers is there is, something to the effect that it's a beneficial activity or use, I guess you could say, where an ADU would fit into that category as being something that's construed as being beneficial.
In general, yeah.
You know, if you put up a solar shed, if you will, and you had to tweak the boundary lines a little bit, you could rationalize as beneficial to have that solar canopy. If you had another extra few feet to smush it in that you wouldn't have otherwise. I think there's a certain beneficial use to apply for a waiver. And
Yeah,
then the
it
discussion
would be
becomes, is that benefit and makes sense for that?
the review criteria for the waiver is the use permitted within the district. So like you can't have a waiver for a conditional use. It's for a use permitted within the district, in question is a by right use. The waiver requested is in conformance with the town plan and the goals set forth in the state planning act or state plan as well. So that's the town plan. Is it in conformance with the town plan? So would an ADU be the housing element? Character of the land use in the area, and then does the design incorporate design techniques, restricted height, lack of windows, screening, other remedies to limit impact or potential impact?
Also, before giving that variance, the board can add some conditions, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
and these are the review criteria. So if someone came in and they said, I want to put an ADU in and I'm gonna have floodlights that run 24/7.
Well, nobody's gonna tell you.
I mean, I'm just
Or
giving-
can the boards, they say, yes, we'll give you this variance as long as, for example, all exterior lighting is downward only.
correct.
Or we'll give you this as long as your HVAC noisemaker wherever is not on the side nearest your near neighbor. Things like this, will they actually come up with that, you think, or is that something that happens?
Putting conditions on a permit.
It's like,
Yeah, the DRB, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
especially if somebody's there maybe saying, hey, it's really
Yeah.
close to my bedroom.
It definitely depends on the application. I mean, the
Okay.
DRB reviews that criteria and then it's up to them if they want to put conditions or not.
Okay,
But I think the biggest part of a waiver criteria that would be the design techniques. If you're coming in and you're like, I'm looking for a waiver so I can be as close as possible.
but this is existing we're talking about, so it should be, it is where it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
my daughter and son-in-law had like a new little building, they can put
Yeah.
any, could put anywhere, potentially, but some places would be more reasonable, but. This is, we're talking only existing structures now.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Okay,
yeah, because waivers are to reduce dimensional requirements.
Right.
Yeah. So if the principal setbacks are 15, you come in for a waiver for that 5 feet,
been
which
in there 100 years and it's 10 feet, we'll
Yeah.
listen to you.
Yep.
Yep, okay.
I just had a question.
Go ahead.
Under, the new one, a new detached ADU. So there are no waivers at all for any reason for that. If there was a difference, it would have to be a variance. Is that correct?
That's the example where everything meets all the setbacks, everything's good to go, it's by
Right.
right approved.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
yeah, that would, I mean,
Right.
they could absolutely, if they needed to, apply for either a variance or a waiver, for that.
Okay. It just wasn't in the flow, so it just kind of confused me a little bit.
Yeah, if I included every possible option
Yeah.
on a flow, the flow chart would be huge. So I really tried to go with like what are the steps that people are gonna run into. And if you're building a new detached ADU, you should be following the setbacks unless there's a case like a need for a variance where you have steep
Like the
slopes.
flood. Yeah.
Or you need a waiver where it's like if there's been apple trees growing here for 100 years and we don't want to have to cut down the apple trees. So that,
Yeah, I got you.
yeah.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, so we wanna look at the bottom one then, the addition.
Yep.
Done.
I didn't make a little handy dandy example for this one, so I apologize. Same kind of idea. If you have a non-conforming single family dwelling, it doesn't meet the front yard setback, it doesn't meet the side yard setback. Any addition onto that would need conditional use approval if you're looking to build like a little annex that will be an ADU. Or if you're looking to change an existing part of the house that maybe you're not going to increase the square footage, but you're changing the inside to be an ADU, like we talked about with the pre-existing accessory structures. The changing the use on the inside would also be conditional use. If you have a conforming single family dwelling, any addition onto that house would have to conform to the principal setbacks. And that would be a by right build.
Any questions on the addition line? Okay. Again, because we have that one line for the new detached mixed use. That's essentially undefined, I would recommend that we. Once again, table both of these old businesses because B is dependent on A. Where is it?
I don't think B is dependent on A.
Okay,
I don't. I think B is a recommendation that the select board.
okay, so let's go back and just, I'll entertain a motion to table A, pending. Conclusive, conclusion on this.
I will make a motion to table A, pending the clarification on that criteria of setbacks.
If anybody would. Shannon will second, Rob makes the motion, Shannon seconds it, any discussion?
AC, if you happen to make any of those diagrams that you use or pass out or talking points with people, anything like that, my recommendation would be to avoid putting exact dimensions on there on some of those, unless it is the same for all districts, and try to use the nomenclature of front yards or accessory, principal setback, things like that, if possible.
Yeah.
Just to help keep it crystal clear.
Yep, I can do that.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Okay, all in favor of tabling this action, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Raise your hand. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay, tabled until next meeting, or we have a definitive answer. So the next action item is, as we've come through this discussion, it's become apparent that certain things in the current zoning are inconsistent with either statute or our interpretation of statute. So the select board has considered some interim zoning, primarily for EV chargers. So the recommendation, item 2, that item B, the action is essentially a recommendation to the select board to, in the event that they do some interim zoning, that they correct these inconsistencies, I guess you could call them. And they, did we pass those out?
No,
Yes, this is what's going on.
to be the second motion up here.
So So
I'll print out a couple.
okay.
Does this pertain to what we just discussed or something?
It's involved with what we've discussed, along with what we've discussed the last, at least meeting, probably 2 meetings on this topic.
Interesting.
So.
Thank you. Okay.
Slim.
That guy, I can't read up on
So the first has to do with the change in the last sentence of section 404 from any accessory dwelling unit, new or existing, that meets the above conditions is a permitted use in all districts. Change that to read any accessory dwelling unit, new or existing, that meets the above conditions is a permitted use in all districts where single family dwellings are permitted. And that came to light that we do have certain districts that single family houses are not permitted. And the current census allows it in those districts. The next item is word 3B in section 404. To be a minimum of 1 or fewer bedrooms. The accessory dwelling unit shall have a minimum of 1 or lesser number of bedrooms than the main single family dwelling. And I can't remember, did we not specify minimum or something there? What was the?
It just said shall have a lesser number of bedrooms than the main single family dwelling, so the issue was if you have 1 bedroom
Yeah.
in your house.
You can't have 0 bedrooms.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just a little clarification thing, so or that way you can have a studio ADU.
And then the other point is to remove the performance requirements 3C and 3D in section 404 that are in conflict with the current interpretations. Remove 3C, which states new construction in the village planning areas shall be set back from the property line at least 20 feet greater than the main single family dwelling. And also remove 3D, new construction shall have a height of 80% of the main structure.
Forced that, does it have to be exactly 80% of the height of the main structure?
I don't think you can restrict it. You can't restrict it at all from.
The interpretation was that that's more restrictive than a single family home. So you can't put those restrictions on there.
I just think, okay, let's say I have a small home and I wanna build an ADU and.
We're removing that.
Oh, you're
That's
removing
why.
that, oh, okay, okay, I'm saying that's a. That was.
Everything else remains the
We
same.
move,
Like
oh, yeah, there you go.
900 square feet is
Mhm.
900 square feet. I want to put 4 bedrooms in a 900 square foot because the main house has 5. God bless.
So is there any questions or so I guess we should entertain a motion, and this is the motion. Is anybody willing to make it?
Can I still talk, I have questions after?
Well, let's make a motion.
Yeah, I think let's do it, fine.
So I'll make the motion then to, as we just read it. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
So Rob second, Kevin makes the motion, Rob seconds. And discussion.
Yeah, but this is what you just said, this 900 square foot ADU cannot have 4 or 5 bedrooms, if the main house has 2 bedrooms, that's it, correct? If it says. One or the lesser number, no
Yes.
matter, so you can't like jam in 4 bedrooms in a small.
You'd have to have 5 bedrooms in the main house.
Oh, if you had 5 bedrooms in there, then you could have more than 900 square foot ADU though, if you wanted. Probably, maybe not necessarily,
Yes.
might be a bigger house.
You can have it's
Oh, everything else still applies, so
Yeah.
dimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What were you gonna say?
the size criteria for ADUs is 30% of the total habitable floor area of the single family dwelling or 900 square feet
Whichever is,
greater
so 900 is the maximum it can be.
No.
No,
the minimum.
or greater.
or greater. So if you've got a 4,000 square foot
Right.
home, 30% of that is 1,200.
Correct.
It just gets bigger if you have.
Right, if you have a big
But
house.
if you, or it's whichever is greater, so if you have a tiny home already.
Right, then that would be.
You still do it.
So it's interesting. In the village, there aren't a lot, but there are a few homes that have significant square footage,
Correct.
but they don't necessarily have a very big lot. So, yeah,
So yeah, they have the square footage, but they don't have the land to actually
Yeah.
build. They may have enough for a 900.
I have another question on the ADU, it's probably not germane to this, but I'm sure you have a very quick answer.
Maybe.
Mom comes to live with her daughter and her son-in-law. She's older. You know, a little help would be good. And she takes a spare bedroom because, you know, the kids aren't in there anymore or whatever. That's not considered making it an accessory dwelling unit.
No.
Right?
An accessory dwelling unit has to have its own provisions for independent living. So you need to have a kitchen,
Kitchen and
a bathroom, that's all separate.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, just like having your mom in your house in a room is not an ADU, that's just.
Being a good.
That's just being, that's just being a good kid. It's like, but if you were to convert,
I get it.
yeah, okay.
Any other questions? Melissa, did you have something?
Yeah, the reword of 3B and 404. Are you saying it has to have an ADU has to have one separate bedroom? It can't be like if it says it's a minimum of one. So you can't have like an open, what would be maybe called a loft in a city or a studio or whatever you were saying. You have to have a bedroom?
What's a bedroom?
What's a bed? I mean, you have to have a separate bedroom with a door on it. That to me, that's what a bedroom is.
That's why I say what's a bedroom, because you ask the state of Vermont wastewater division and they're gonna tell you what a bedroom is, but if you ask a real estate agent, they're gonna tell you what a bedroom is, so. I say a bedroom is where the bed is.
Yeah, it's interesting because technically I think it is a room with a door.
If you ask a real estate person, but looking at the definitions in the wastewater and water supply rules, a bedroom is not defined as a room that has a door.
Or how do they define it?
It's by occupancy. You can pull it up.
It's clear enough. I mean, it's.
Well, the real question is, how does zoning describe a bedroom? Since this is all having to do with zoning.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm hearing you say, Melissa, is say the lesser of the minimum of one or a lesser number of bedrooms or sleeping spaces, if you want to make that modification, than the
Yeah.
main single family unit.
Yeah, because I mean, you might just get some trouble if somebody wants to put, basically what's considered a tiny home, just a separate ADU, but it's
So-
open and
Yeah,
there's no,
so-
yeah,
So you want to make that motion to amend?
I think so. I think it should say something because I think people and then also people may be confused by that and go, oh, well, I can't do it then because it has to have a bedroom.
Okay,
But-
so. is
Yeah.
any-
That's reasonable.
So anybody want to second Melissa's motion to amend?
I'll second.
So Slim will second it. So there is a motion on the floor to modify the reword section 3B and section 440 to say the accessory dwelling unit shall have a minimum of one or a lesser number of bedrooms or sleeping spaces
Yeah, I would.
than the main single family dwelling.
Yeah, that sounds. Does that sound good, or is that a little? I don't know what else. I don't know. I wouldn't know what else to how else to word it. If you have something
Could we
better.
just say- All right, could we just say the accessory unit shall have one lesser number of bedrooms than the main single family dwelling?
No.
So that was the issue, is if you got one bedroom in the main unit, you'd still need to be able to say one or a lesser number of bedrooms in the main unit.
Yeah. Well,
I
if
have a
the question is not
suggestion.
what,
So I did pull up the definition from the wastewater and water supply rules, which the definition is bedroom, except where otherwise specified in these rules, means any room within a building or structure that is permitted, used, or serves as sleeping quarters.
okay, so the entire ADU could be considered
That
a
is
sleeping
permitted,
quarter.
used, or serves as sleeping quarters.
So maybe we change sleeping spaces to sleeping quarters. And I think Melissa's got a good point, because if you got a studio apartment,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
necessarily a door and.
The studio becomes the bedroom.
So
Yeah.
maybe the fix is not using the word bedroom, right? One or fewer bedrooms. It would be one or fewer sleeping quarters or something like that.
I don't know. I'm just also thinking about, people reading the requirements or, if they say they want to do an ADU, but they want to do one that's open that doesn't have, I don't know. Yeah.
So I think the original suggestion, being biased here, but so or sleeping quarters, I think covers it. So that it reads.
Yeah.
Accessory dwelling unit shall have a minimum of one or a lesser number of bedrooms or sleeping quarters than the main single family dwelling.
Or if I might, then, just to think about it, why not just drop that part and say the accessory dwelling unit shall have a lesser number of bedrooms than the main single family dwelling. 0 is definitely lesser. So
But
get
you're still, yeah, but that still to me would be a little confusing because it still sounds like you have to have a bedroom.
So the motion on the floor is as just read. So let's get
Yeah.
through the motion to amend. I'm sorry, the motion to amend on the floor was just read. I'll read it again if anybody wants me to. If there's no more discussion, we'll take a vote on that.
Can you read that again, please? Sorry.
The accessory dwelling unit shall have a minimum of one or a lesser number of bedrooms or sleeping quarters than the main single family dwelling.
A studio is it's a one bed. A studio is a
One bed.
one bed
without a bedroom.
without a bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a one sleeping quarter.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
your
it's just
kitchen.
no, just verbiage.
Yeah.
What sounds nicest? I don't know.
So let's take a vote. Everybody in favor of the motion to amend, say aye.
I
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay,
I like the concept, but we could go on forever. I'm thinking, I like the way this is worded, but you could always add another sentence, because I can't think of any circumstance other than a studio where you could have a bedroom, have a bed that's not self-enclosed, right? I think.
If this custom.
Yeah.
So,
So this covers that.
I guess so. If
Okay,
you think it covers it, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
one abstention, so it carries. So we're back to the original motion that as read. I can read it again if you want to hear me.
Yes, please.
The planning commission recommends to the select board that they adopt interim zoning regulations as follows. Change the last sentence to section 404. First part is from any accessory dwelling unit, new or existing, that meets the above conditions is a permitted use in all districts. Change it from that to read any accessory dwelling unit, new or existing, that meets the above conditions is a permitted use in all districts where single-family dwelling units are permitted. Next is reword 3B in section 404 to be a minimum of one or fewer bedrooms. So it will read, the accessory dwelling unit shall have a minimum of one or a lesser number of bedrooms or sleeping quarters than the main single-family dwelling. Next one is remove the performance requirements 3C and 3D in section 404 that are in conflict with current interpretations. Remove 3C, which is new construction in the village planning area shall be set back from the front property line at least 20 feet greater than the main single-family dwelling. Remove 3D, which reads, new construction shall have a height of 80% of the main structure. That's the motion. Any further discussion? You ready to vote? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Was there an opposed?
No, I just was late on saying aye.
Okay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Woo, got through that.
Well done.
Okay, so now we'll move to administrative matters, approval of the minutes for August 19th, 2025. As tradition dictates, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move.
Glenn moves. Anybody second?
I'll second.
Rob seconds. Any discussion?
It was as tedious to read this as it was to.
I have one.
That's the kind.
Well played.
I thought it was a good synopsis.
It was, but she's right. I've got one change is underneath members present. Ellen unfortunately needs to be added.
Yes.
Otherwise, couple reasons, we don't want to forget about Ellen, and then we would not have had a quorum.
Warm. I was kind of wondering about that.
I appreciate that.
Any other modifications to the minutes? Entertain a motion, or we did a motion, so all those in favor of adopting or accepting, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Fred abstained.
I abstain. I wasn't there.
Oh, Melissa abstained, so 2 abstentions. Okay, that carries that. What's next?
My little report.
AZ's report.
All right.
You got your alphabet soup backwards there, AZ.
I do.
Yeah, I should say AZ, August. AZP.
AZZA.
All right. Not anything crazy. A new house, some additions, some accessory buildings, DRB cases, some subdivisions, 2 conditional uses just were approved for non-conforming structures. One of them was an ADU, converting a barn to an ADU that actually was 5 feet from the setback, so they went through conditional use approval. And the other was a non-conforming house out on Hardscrabble, Lower Hardscrabble. Both were approved. Couple subdivisions happening. There's a conditional use that's going through the DRB right now, down in the lower notch, a business yard. But that had its first public hearing on last Tuesday, actually. And the DRB moved to go to deliberative session, so that's moving smoothly. Things are finally starting to slow down. Thankfully. I'm working on a lot of still working on changing the application system. So instead of just having one application, we have a couple different applications, so it's a little bit clearer to applicants what they actually need to fill out. And also am working on putting together process, like check guidebooks essentially for more complicated applications like conditional uses, flood hazard applications, as those have a lot more requirements than your traditional just I'd like to build a deck. But yeah, always exciting in the zoning office.
Hey,
I'm glad
thank
you're
you.
here to enjoy it.
Huh?
I'm so glad you're here to enjoy it.
Yeah, me too.
And then the next is miscellaneous correspondence, if any.
I keep on telling people to come talk to y'all and they don't want to.
Okay, do we have any public comment?
Jim.
No public comment? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Rob makes a motion, Slim seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor? Say aye.
Bye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Night.
Good night.
We got awful close to an hour meeting tonight.